Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. I hope you're all doing very well this morning. We've got loads to talk about this morning, and actually I don't want to spend much time talking about Jadon Sancho. I think yesterday was very Jadon Sancho heavy, and unless something new happens, I think we should talk about other things, because one thing I'm very wary of, and I think we should all consider this, is that if we do get Jadon Sancho, and as you know I'm very confident that we will do, is that enough? Are we going to live off, oh, Jadon Sancho's going to solve all our problems, we're going to win everything, we start the season well, we get a few injuries, and then by Christmas we're saying that's not a particularly good transfer window? George and Paul, don't worry, I did read your message, shout out. So I may not have got involved, but I was reading your messages. They'll know what I'm on about. If you know, you know. So there you go, and I'm not talking about the Beatles. But look, the reality is, the Sancho deal is great, it's fantastic, but there's not a lot to report on it at this moment in time from what we said last night. Personal terms, agent fees are done. We're now going into the stage of dealing with Dortmund. We know an unofficial bid went in August. This could escalate very, very quickly, or it could run for a couple of weeks. So let's just see what happens with that. But let's focus on Reguilon, because there's talk that this transfer could be off before it even was on. We're talking about that. We're talking about Chris Smalling looks like he's going to go. 2 more signings for United, potentially an exciting one as well, and a few other things. Luke Shaw, Phil Jones, and a few others. But look, the most important thing, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said 2 very interesting things last night about the centre-back situation and about finances, which are really interesting. So with lots to get through. But the thing that I just want to say is that let's just be a little bit careful, because Sancho is going to be a great signing. Very, very excited about it, like I said. But how many times have we been excited by transfer windows? Then the season starts, you get lost in it, you love it for the first 3 months, and then injuries strike, we lose a few games and we go, you know what, that window wasn't what it needed to be. I'm just a little bit, even with Sancho coming in, and obviously I'm very happy about Van der Beek, I'm still going to just say this again, we should have brought a centre-back in. And we still should bring a centre-back in, because I still think you don't win titles with areas that are a problem. And centre-back is a massive problem. And, whether you're Gary Neville, whether you're, Isaac from the live comments, if you say Manchester United desperately need a centre-back, then you are absolutely 100% correct. And I think not getting a centre-back is a problem. But we'll address that in a minute, because Solskjaer has spoken about that. First of all, let's talk about Sergio Reguilon, because it says Reguilon transfer off, ? And this is coming from quite an interesting article in The Athletic by Laurie Whitwell, basically saying that Manchester United are considering a Sergio Reguilon deal, but it's not a priority, which absolutely, and 18 million is what he's apparently available for. Now, a lot of Spanish press is still talking about us, we're monitoring the situation, of course, but always take note of the British press. I know people don't want to do that, but always take note of the British press, because especially if it's somebody credible in the British press, because they may well have sources around the club telling them information. And when Laurie Whitwell's coming out from The Athletic, and look, you're paying £5 a month to read The Athletic, so it's not, it's not picking up the Sun, is it? There is an air of credibility to what The Athletic do. And what he's saying is that, United are considering the deal, but he's not a top priority. And this is where you've got to be very, very careful, because let's not forget, we don't need to name names, but let's not forget that from last weekend and all through the start of this weekend, Reguilon's going to be a United player by Friday. It's Friday tomorrow, people. And this is why you've got to be very, very careful about what people on Twitter are saying about deals being done, and they'll be done by Friday. And I've been told it's a done deal. And I've said all along, I've not been told it's a done deal. I've said all along to these people, just be very careful what you're doing, because when you tweet it out, you get the likes and you get the retweets and you get the followers, but when you get it wrong, you also get absolutely owned. And I just think it's irresponsible that people have gone around saying Sergio Reguilon to Man United is a done deal by the end of the week, when it was never, ever that on Monday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now look, I want to just offer in an air of positivity here. This deal could happen tomorrow. But as of now, it's not even close. As of now, he's not even a priority. So United would have to move very, very quickly to get this deal done. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It's very, very clear that United are monitoring and considering, but I think it's very telling what's come out there, that he's not a priority for Manchester United. I think he's a nice to have. And I said this a couple of days ago, didn't I? I said my feeling with Reguilon is that United are interested, but he wasn't on the list. I think they've been offered a player. They've gone, we wouldn't mind a left back, and he's very, very good. What's the terms of the deal? And I think United are just monitoring it, going, you know what, this just feels like it's a bidding war. This feels like we're being used. So it's going to be interesting how that moves forward. But it's definitely not over. But I'm just saying, it's not as advanced as some people have led you to believe over the last few days. And especially the Spanish press, be very careful of that, because they're out for their own club's benefits, aren't they? So let's see what happens with Reguilon. I wouldn't say it's off, but I certainly don't think that this... I think statements of deals being done were always ill-advised. Can everyone stop asking Mark to call someone a prat? He obviously hates doing it, so let's just stop. Hey, Mark, can you call my mum a prat? Says James Christow. Good one, James. Good one. Also in The Athletic. Some of you are not going to like this, but it's instantly going to put a smile on my face. In the same outlet, The Athletic, it said, whilst Manchester United may be looking for a left back, Luke Shaw is still Solskjaer's number one. Hold my beer. I'm off. I mean, look, that makes me feel happy. But it's only what I've been telling you. I've told you this. I've told you this for the last 2 weeks. Whatever happens, Luke Shaw is Ollie's number one. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer loves Luke Shaw. Like, he absolutely trusts him and he loves him as a player. He's had him as a left centre-back. He's got him as his first choice left-back. He knows, despite the agendas, and I'm not getting into the agendas, Luke Shaw, I'll argue it with everybody, is absolutely invaluable to United. He's easily our best left-back. You could argue he's our best left-sided centre-back, but he's definitely our best left-back. We missed him massively at the end of the season. I think we do need another left-back. I actually thought about this last weekend, and I thought, to be fair, people are right. If he gets injured, we're in trouble. So we do need a left-back. But he will be fit for next week, and he will be our first choice left-back. So, you know what? I'm not going to get into the debate. That makes me happy. If it doesn't make you happy, jog on. Good morning, Mark. Great news last night with Sancho. We need a centre-back and a left-back, and we will see what our point total is, not our position. So, Shane, I agree with that. I think it's about points total, not position. And big happy birthday to Don Robbie, says Joshua Bowwater. Didn't even know it was his birthday. And just shows I don't watch AFTV. And he loves him because he's our best player. Anyway, look, Chris Smalling has not been training with Manchester United this week. So advanced are the talks with Roma. That is expected to get done quite quickly. And you would expect United to pocket 15 million. Remember what I said last night as well about Zaha. Monitor that Zaha to Everton deal, because that could be... If he goes for 60 million, that's another 15 million to us because we get 25%. So we could have 30 million in our back pocket in the next week or so, which basically covers the Donny van der Beek transfer, doesn't it? So that would be good. Nothing further forward on Lingard, Pereira, Phil Jones. West Ham were interested in Phil Jones. They're now about to buy Tarkowski from Burnley. So that's who wants Phil Jones? Just silence. The sound of silence. If you check it in the dictionary, the definition of silence, or next to silence, it says United offering Phil Jones out to other clubs. Anyway, also on the centre-back situation, United under 23s smashed Salford last night 6-0. I think it was it the League Cup or something like that? I don't know what cup it was. But some really good performances. Everyone going on about Mabry. Probably a little bit young for the first team. I tweeted last night he needs to get some first team action. I don't necessarily mean at United. I'd like to see him going out on loan. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was speaking about Mengi, the centre-back. He captained the side, and he... basically, very interesting quotes from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think if we weren't in the midst of a transfer window, this would almost be a show in itself. Really interesting quotes from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Basically saying De Ligt was Ajax captain at 18 and that Mengi has really impressed him and, basically talking him up. So this has got people saying, well, we don't need a centre-back then because we've got Mengi. I think what Ollie's saying is exciting and somewhat clever. In a way. So I think it's very clever in a way what United are doing, because what Ollie's done there, because we're excited. Well, oh my God, he's mentioned De Ligt at 18. He's mentioning Mengi. This is the lad. But can I just say, how many teams that challenge for titles need a centre-back and chuck in an 18-year-old? in the Premier League. It makes us excited because it's the youth, but actually, if that's the solution, it's not the solution. There's no way Solskjaer is going to use him as a starting centre-back with Harry Maguire or Victor Lindelof next year. So what that actually is just plastering the wound so that we all go, yeah, he's one of our own, young 18-year-old, yeah. But actually what we needed this summer was a centre-back that walked straight into that team, an Upamecano, Akuli, whoever. I'm just naming names. Mengi's not going to do that. So what you're actually going to see is a little bit of Mengi, but mainly Maguire and Lindelof again, which we know is not good enough. So I'm not falling into that trap. I really hope Mengi goes into the team and, like De Ligt, he captains the team at 18 and he's the best centre-back in the country with Van Dijk. But I just think that's a little bit of a cover-up that we desperately need a centre-back. Everyone's talking about it. You drop something there about a young player, which is always going to play on the heartstrings of United fans. We won't hardly play him. We'll still be Maguire and Lindelof, and it gets us through the final weeks of the transfer window where people aren't demanding that we need a transfer centre-back. We need a centre-back. We need a top-class centre-back. I think it was Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic was actually saying that United really liked Upamecano, but it's not going to happen this summer. And I think that clearly there was a lot of interest around Upamecano, and for whatever reason we couldn't get that done this summer. But realistically, Upamecano had a release clause, didn't he? And he signed a new contract. So is he that interested in coming to United? If we were in for him, then why did he sign a new contract? We could have got him for 40 million release clause. So United's interest in Upamecano is somewhat dubious as well. But I do think we need a centre-back. I'm excited by Mengi, but I just don't see how he would go straight into the team. I don't. I feel that's a little bit paper in the cracks. And Solskjaer also spoke about the transfer market being a place where you can't... And in fact, let me get the quote for this. I'll get you the quote on this. I don't want to quote it wrong because I'm pretty sure he said it on BBC 5 Live. Okay. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to 5 Live Sport. We all know this summer and this year has been a very strange one, and it's important that everyone understands that this has an effect on football and not everyone can spend millions and millions and new millions. Chelsea, Everton, Man City, Newcastle... So yeah, that's bullshit. It's bullshit. That's trying to hide behind COVID again, and I'm sorry, I don't think that's going to work. And look, we're gonna well, I believe we're gonna sign Jadon Sancho. So this million, I just think that's Ollie playing a straight bat there. People aren't going to fall for the fact that United can't spend money because of what's going on in the world when lots of other clubs are doing it. So I don't think that Ollie is really... and especially, it was only... We were in lockdown when Ollie said that, this is the time to take advantage of the market. So is he now talking the tune of the owners and not talking what he wants? We'll wait and see. But I'm confident United will do business. James Christo says that there's a rumour that United are leading the race for Griezmann. I've not heard anything until they said that. Have you? Nah, United won't go for Griezmann. We won't go for Griezmann. Don't worry yourselves. Welcome to the Members Club, Declan Hampson. Thank you very much for joining, Declan. You can do that by clicking the join button. You get your badge next to your name. And I saw the Ollie comments and thought right away that he's trying to lower expectations as he knows that Sancho and Van der Beek are the only ones we're probably going to get. And Aditya, look, I fully support Ollie. I'm sure you do. I'm sure everybody does. And as we know, he's going to be a mouthpiece for the club. That's what every manager is. But when I saw those comments about Mengi last night, to be honest with you, they could be totally genuine. But I thought, I've been down this road. I've been down this road with Sir Alex over 10 years ago. I'm not falling for this anymore. It's a cost saving exercise. We came into this transfer window, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came into this transfer window wanting 3 signings. He wanted a midfielder, Jadon Sancho, and a centre back. He's got a midfielder. He's gonna get Sancho, we think. And he's not going to get his centre-back. So to come out and say, I've got this 18-year-old who's never played for the first team, but hey-ho, De Ligt played for Ajax. Well, it's a bit different playing in the Eredivisie as captain. Well, go on then, play him. Or are you going to do what everyone expects you to do? You've not got the centre-back you wanted, so you're going to stick with Maguire and Lindelof, who ultimately aren't going to be title-winning centre-backs. Not sure if you've addressed this, but if Sancho comes, what does that mean for Greenwood and his playing time? Says Vinny. I couldn't give 2 shits, mate. I've addressed this a million times. I'm sorry to be blunt. I absolutely cannot talk about this again. Eric Chazzy, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. It's just I don't know whether you've done the super chat just to try and, wind up the live comments, but the reality is we've spoken about this countless times, and it's just, I barely have the oxygen to answer the question of, why do we need Sancho? What's going to happen with Greenwood? I mean, you can pick 3 strikers or 3 attackers, and you can have one on the bench, and one of them's going on the bench, and they'll still play loads of games because subs can happen. Rotation can happen, loss of form happens, injury happens. Go and do your research on the football club that you supposedly support, and then come back to me and tell me why signing Sancho will have no effect on Greenwood. You need a squad. It's a squad game. We need a squad. Also, what else? West Ham, Smalling, Phil. Surprise. Yeah, at Malakins actually, Phil Brown. On Twitter, he's had a bit of an up and a down time over the last couple of weeks because, to be honest with you, he's fighting the good fight. I think, as we all know, social media in a transfer window amongst the United fan base can be very, very toxic. People decide what they want to believe. When something's said that they don't like, they get very angry about it. And I think, Phil is, tried to explain the story of that there will always be 2 sides to a story, and, they both might be right, and people might be putting information out there because it suits them to do that. But what he did say is he expects Manchester United, regardless of what happens with Sancho, he expects United to do 2 more signings, and one of them could be a nice surprise. Who's that surprise then? Because Sancho's not the surprise. Could it be Thiago? Could it be an Upamecano? It's interesting. And look, that feeds nicely into what I was talking about there. I mean, look, there'll be a lot of people not happy about what I've just told you about Sergio Reguilon, but I'm not telling you that. It's coming from identifiable sources, and then, as I've always said, we discuss it as a community. That's what we do. My stance on Sergio Reguilon is that I never felt that this deal was as concrete as people want it to be. I do want us to buy him. I'd love us to have 2 left backs that are real quality left-footed players. I don't want to go into next season with Brandon Williams as the understudy to Luke Shaw. I don't like Brandon Williams at left back. I thought I did. But I think he was a novelty when he came into the team. A young player from the youth setup who was really up for it, who did really well for the first month. And then I think he got figured out. And look, this is what happens at high-end football. A young player bursts on the scene. Nobody knows anything about him. And then, all these clubs, they've got scouts. They've got tactical experts. They've looked at Brandon Williams and gone, he's very right-footed. This is how you exploit him. And we've seen it we saw it in the Europa League, and we saw it in the back end of the season. He's not, for me, a very good understudy as a left back. So Reguilon or Tellez or even Jamal Lewis, who's gone to Newcastle, I'd have took him for 15 million because they're left-footed left backs, and you can work with that. So I would love United to bring Reguilon in, and I think United would like to do the deal, but I don't think the deal is appealing. Buyback clause being touted around to other clubs. It can happen. But the danger is people have been saying it's a done deal by tomorrow when they've got no bloody clue. And it's got people hyped up. It's got people thinking it's going to happen. So that when we report Reguilon transfer off based on what Laurie Whitwell has said in The Athletic and other people have said during the week, that United are monitoring the situation, but it's far from done. And as Laurie Whitwell said, if you're joining late, he said that United are considering the deal, but he's not a priority. Well, this is not a deal that's a priority, is it? And it might not happen. And that is disappointing. But unfortunately, in the transfer window, some people want to believe, as I said before, people believe what they want to believe. And I think when people are saying, trust me, my source is telling me this, done deal by Friday, people start going, I want to believe that because I want this deal. And sometimes you've got to be a little bit reserved about it. I mean, I got a message from somebody this morning about Sancho, and they said, "Look, I've been quite abusive in the comments." I've not noticed it. There's always abuse, but I was abusive because I just felt as a fan channel, your Sancho demeanour over the last 3 months has not been very. It's almost like you've been pushing your Sancho agenda, and I now realise that actually a lot of what you've been saying is correct, and I apologise if that is how it's come across, that my Sancho insistence that we'll sign him, the 90% club and all that lot, is oppressive or you don't like it. But it's never been based on opinion. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't just go, I think we're going to sign Sancho, so I'm going to make up the 90% club. I'm going to say, yeah, we're going to sign him. It's really advanced. I wouldn't do that. There's so many areas so many people I've spoken to, so much that's out there publicly for you to read as well. So, yeah, I mean, look, I would say about Sancho, I can't tell you it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not going to say it's going to happen on a certain date, and I'm not going to say he's definitely going to play against Crystal Palace. I said last night, we know we've done the personal terms, we know we've done the agent fees, and we know there's negotiations with Dortmund. Now, the next 48 hours, well, 36 now, because I said it 12 hours ago, quick maths, the next 36 hours are key. There could be something today, there could be something tomorrow. If Sancho's going to happen and play before Palace, we need this deal to move quicker. And there is every chance that that could happen. There's also a chance that it will drag on until the back end of September. But I do think about the Sancho deal as we come to the back end, is that, and it is the back end of the Sancho deal. I don't know why you talked about Griezmann like that. He's great. Said yesterday that he would not be living in Barcelona. CV Kevin, I don't want Griezmann at Manchester United. Griezmann to me is just a French Di Maria. He's a player that's flopped in Spain, that doesn't really want to be at Manchester United. Otherwise, he would have come a couple of years ago. He's gone to Barcelona. He's flopped. I don't want Antoine Griezmann at Manchester United. I don't think he's got the mentality, ability, or desire or drive to fit in with what we're trying to build at Manchester United. I don't want Griezmann at Manchester United. If we buy him, I'll deal with it, but I don't want it. But going back to Sancho, I think, as we said yesterday, look, United buying him in August, they would have had to pay his wages for a month. There is this talk about bonuses. There's also the fact that United aren't really back training, so him having a full pre-season with Dortmund isn't necessarily a bad thing, is it? He's going to be fitter than he would if he'd been at United, because we didn't finish playing until about 3 weeks ago. Dortmund have also got to play their part in it as well. They've got to come across as a club that stood their ground and held their player. So there could well be a big pantomime at play here. But ultimately, I think that the speed in which the deal gets done now is important. I want him in a United shirt for the Crystal Palace game, because I think United with Sancho is going to be a better United. And that might even be that Sancho is on the bench, but so what? I mean, I think Sancho starts against Palace, but if United play Palace and it's 1-1 with 20 minutes to go, and Greenwood, Rashford and Martial are the front three, and Ollie looks at his bench and goes, right, I've got a Garlo and I've got Dan James, or Sancho plays and Greenwood's on the bench and you go, right, I've got Greenwood. This is why we need Greenwood. This is what we need Greenwood. This is why we need Sancho as well. Stuart Taylor says it's called squad depth. Go Google Man United 99 bench and that will explain everything you need to know about squad depth. Stuart, I love that answer. I love that answer. The next time anybody says, well, if we buy Sancho, what happens to Greenwood and Rashford? You go Google 1999 Manchester United Champions League final bench. Come back to me when you've learned. See you later. That's not the end of the show, by the way. Hi, Mark. Loving your content. Are you going to be doing more podcasts on Spotify? I love listening to them before, says Ben Jake. I'm going to write that down, actually. I don't know where to write it. I've got a big page to write it. If people saw how I do my notes, you'd understand. I might just start uploading stuff on there that's already on here. Is there any truth in loan options if Sancho doesn't happen? Who could even you get on a loan, Aaron? No, there is. I mean, I've got to be fair. There is a lot of... I don't like to talk about this because there is no alternative to Jadon Sancho. But there are alternatives for Manchester United. And they'd be stupid not to have them. Come on. They would be stupid not to have them. What if Jadon Sancho breaks his leg or does his knee in and he's out for 6 months? United are going to be sat there with a finger up their arse going, oh my God, we've got no alternative. So I don't like to talk about Sancho alternatives, but of course any business has got alternatives. We don't want to talk them. They make me feel I want to vomit because we've got to get Sancho, but they have got alternatives in mind. People that have been mentioned, Rabi Matundo, the young player playing in Germany, Douglas Costa, David Brooks has been mentioned. So there are options. But as you know, they're all shit compared to Jadon Sancho. So there are options. And, United will be very, very clear about making sure that that's out there, that they've got alternatives. But the problem with alternatives is there's no alternative like Jadon Sancho. I mean, look, if we were looking at Adama Traore instead of Jadon Sancho, it's still a massive drop-off, but at least he's decent. But, yeah, the considerations for United if they don't get Sancho, they're not great. They're not good. which is, again, a reason why they've got to get it done. It's my best mate's Bronson's birthday today, and he really wants you to call him a prat. Would make his day, says Staple Lizard. I'm not going to call people a prat. I mean, I'll read your super chats out, but I'm not going to start calling people a prat. It's gone a bit far. Mark, what about the Kante to United rumours? I see it as unlikely, but it has been getting momentum in several news outlets, says Jeffrey Long. I spoke about it last night, Jeffrey, on the show. I mean, last night's show was fantastic. If you want everything you need to know about Sancho, last night's show's the show to watch. But I did mention a little bit later in the show that Tutto Sport have linked Manchester United to Kante of Chelsea. Now, I actually think Lampard would let Kante go. I don't think they'd let him go to a Premier League rival. And I don't think United are in for Kante. But I tell you what, I'd pay 30 million for him. I would. I mean, I know he's probably coming towards the end of his career, and there's a massive bit of hypocritical-ism, if that's a word from me. But, I mean, Kante, I'd take him at United. I'd take Ronaldo at United. Yeah, they don't fit the profile in relation to age, but if there's something left in them, it's got to be worth doing it. Jarrett Edwards says, I might be delusional, but Dan James looked better for Wales these last 2 games, and I hope he can get a good season for him. I've said this before. I mean, I think that Dan James had a very up and down season last year, but when he first came to the club, everyone was going, what a great signing. And this is why the first 2 months of a season are never the time to judge. You judge the season when you get to January, because everyone thought Harry Maguire was amazing. Everyone thought Dan James was amazing. Wan-Bissaka was amazing. And at different times in the season, people were like, they're a flop. The reality is with a signing, and we saw it with Fred, his first season wasn't great. His second season was a lot better. Second season syndrome is really important. Do you kick on from your first year and learn from it, or do you get worse? And I think with Dan James, it's such a big season for him. And I think he's going to have a big season. I still think that the adjustment he went through from a championship club, tragically losing his father, thrown in at the deep end with United, relentless games. I think he had a lot to deal with last year, and I think it either sinks or swim this year, and I think he will learn from it. He's not really going to be a starter for United. I don't think for 15 million he was ever meant to be. But as a bench squad option, he could be really useful. And you know what? He may even exceed that expectation and actually be a first teamer. So I think Dan James is an interesting one. I expect him to have a big season for us in the role that we bought him for. But ultimately with Dan James, if it doesn't work out, it was always said when we bought him for 15 million, he's not Pepe, is he? Pepe was what, 60, 70 million? If he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. Not your fault, Mark, but this regurgitation of news around Sancho is draining. Sancho is coming, and that's that. Squad depth is essential. Director of football is needed. Well, that's why, Dylan, I've tried to not really talk about Sancho much this morning, and I don't intend to talk about Sancho much until we get a bigger update, because we know where we are with it now. It's close. We're working with Dortmund. I think the next thing for me is, how close is it? Is it close, so close that it's going to really escalate in the next 7 days? Or is it going to still rumble on for 3 more weeks? Hi, Mark. Love the content. Think Sancho will be here next week. Also heard Tellez is meant to have his medical this week, says Anthony. And I think next season the Maguire and Lindelof partnership will be better. Last season was their first season playing alongside each other. Charlie Scott, I like the positivity, but I'm not going to pay for the cracks on this one. That centre-back partnership will never be a Premier League. We're trying to win a Premier League. We're not meant to win the Premier League next year. And I think anyone who expects that is wrong. But we are trying to build a team to challenge for major honours again. And Lindelof and Maguire will never win a Premier League title together. I'd love that to get clipped. I'd love that to be clipped in a couple of years. But the reason they won't win the title together is because I don't think they're a partnership. I don't see synergy. I don't see a relationship. I see 2 players who look panicked a lot of the time together. I think they're both terrified of the lack of pace they have. They make a lot of mistakes. And I actually think, apart from the height, apart from Maguire's physical dominance over Lindelof, I think if they were the same size, you'd get the same player. They're both quite good with the ball at their feet and bringing it out. Neither are particularly quick. And I think they're too similar. I don't think they complement each other. And I don't think as a pair, they're a world-class pairing. I think United, ideally, I think Bay and Maguire or Bay and Lindelof has got more likelihood of being a better partnership than Maguire and Lindelof. So we do, look, everybody's said it. Whether you want to believe me, most of the community, ex-pros, current current pundits, whatever. Everybody will tell you United need a top-class centre-back, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows it. Now, hopefully, Twansebi can come back, and hopefully Mengi can be this amazing centre-back, but we definitely need one. There's one matter to discuss, and that is one matter, says Vito Goodman. Well, thanks for the super chat there. I think with Mata, Pereira and Lingard, we can't go into the season with all three, because two of them are going to be sat playing Connect 4. They won't even be on the bench. I think the bench for United's really interesting, because if you've got McTominay, Fred and Van der Beek probably on the bench, how does Lindelof, Pereira and Lingard, Pereira and Mata even make the bench? So if I'm Pereira or I'm Mata or I'm Lingard, I think two of them need to go. But there's not a lot of noise around it. With Lingard, I'd love Lingard to get back to what he was. But I think even Lingard of 2 years ago would only make the bench for us now. But Pereira, Mata, there's no future in Mata, and we don't know what Pereira's future is. He's almost been given the opportunities. At least Lingard has a past and a future. But look, I don't know. Lingard's the most valuable of the three, and he might want first team football. So the news around Fred has suddenly died. Also, Martial's great form for France is definitely due to Ollie, thoughts, says Anish. Well, it's due to Martial as well, but yeah, Ollie's had a big impact. I said that last season. Martial's really benefited from that. I think Locomotive is spot on. Ollie's not only managing the squad, he's managing Woodward as well, and the idiots above him. I think Ollie has got hands on in this transfer window, and I think that, as I said before, Mourinho and Van Gaal wouldn't have done that. They were experienced top-end coaches. They'd be used to giving a list of their players and going on holiday, and that was their downfall. They gave a list, they came back, they didn't get that list. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's given a list. He's realised, I'm not going to get that list. He's picked up the phone to Van der Beek. He's picked up the phone to Sancho. And he's getting these deals moved along. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is massively involved in the transfers. He shouldn't have to be. This is why a director of football is needed. But I think Solskjaer is getting his hands dirty, and I applaud him for that. But I think he's doing it for selfish reasons as well. Because he knows that if he doesn't, he won't get the players. And if he doesn't get the players, he'll be out of a job. So Solskjaer's in the trenches, which is what Sir Alex used to do. So I applaud Solskjaer. I think he's doing everything he can. I don't see Scott McTominay making the bench that frequently with Donny added to the squad. Big season for McTominay, Gustav. We'll be talking about a lot of this next week, because although the Premier League starts this weekend, it doesn't start for us. So the bench, the starting lineup, what we expect, all that we've got planned in for next week. But it will all come in. Matta's got experience, but don't sell him, says Chelsea. Yeah, but spending 140 grand a week on experience that's not even going to be on your bench, that's not a good thing. And I'm surely Matta, with maybe 1 or 2 years left of football, wants to play football. But I don't know. I think 1 or 2 of those have got to go. What's happening with Thiago, do you think, says Aram? I think Thiago is going to Liverpool or Barcelona, and I don't think we're in it. But I've always said we've got a slim chance. And there is talk of United doing something a little bit surprising, and it's not Sancho. So watch this space. What would surprise you? Get in the comments. Anyway, smash a like on the video. We're back again at 8 o'clock, of course, tonight, and we will go live again today if there's anything breaking. And there could well be. I feel that, I said last night, the next 24 to 48 hours, we're going to find out who the priority is for United. Are we getting this Reguilon deal done, or are we going in on Sancho? Because whatever you say, whatever we're doing, time is running out. And United can't afford to spend another 3 or 4, 5, 6 a week not doing anything, just negotiating. They've got to start pushing these deals forward. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. We're really close to 830,000 actually, so subscribe if you're new, bottom right hand corner. Get involved in this fantastic community and smash a like, and I'll speak to you very soon.